Welcome back, folks, to another episode of Talking to Myself, where I talk to myself about topics that excite me. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about the power of presence. Why I'm talking about this is because I'm currently going through an Eckhart Tolle retreat. I strongly recommend you listen to him on YouTube, social media, any other platforms. And his common teaching is to do with presence, being in the moment, in the now, in order to not only overcome certain situations, but to say the right words at the right time, to be connected with people on a deeper level. And it just shows from his perspective, from his teachings, that presence is the ultimate way of living a fulfilled, a good life, and living the life that's in a flow state, so to speak. The way I see it as well, a lot of us, we're not present. We often think we're living life, enjoying life, but we're stuck in our heads. You know, we go on a date, we go hang out with our families, go do an activity, and we think this is a fantastic life. But more often than not, our mind is elsewhere. Perhaps we're on our phone, we're thinking about maybe work, you're thinking about your kids, your other friends, events, certain other life circumstances going on, and you're not enjoying that moment, the current moment that you are in. You're either in the past or in the future, both of which do not exist, because the past is just a memory now that's already happened, and the future is just a projection. And what we tend to do, we tend to look at the past and events that happened in the past and assume the same thing will happen in the future, which is not the case. The past is a different moment, the future is a different moment. The only moment that exists is now, meaning something that happened in the past, whilst it could have been something bad, does not mean it's going to happen again. You accept the past for what it is, as a little memory, a snapshot of that certain event. You learn from it, and you act with wisdom and knowledge in the present to then make a change for the future, which is upcoming. It's not here, so you be aware of the future, but you don't live in the future. You live in the now, acting from wisdom and knowledge, as I already said, making the changes necessary to live a conscious and better life, which impacts your future and attracts more better things to you and changes the direction of your life. What tends to happen though, people have an event in the past, maybe their girlfriend, their boyfriend broke up with them, or they had a toxic relationship, or they lost a job, whatever it may be. They had, lost an event in a sports match or something. They get stuck in that loop because the event has left them with an emotional charge within, and because of that emotional charge, they kind of live on this loop. So when a similar event occurs, they instantly go back to that past event that happened, that was a negative experience, and they relive that negative experience again and again and again, meaning they cannot progress forward because they're stuck in the old way. The idea is to snap out of that old way of thinking. As I've already said, but I'm going to repeat it again. You snap out of that by getting present. That's what Eckhart Tolle teaches. You can get present actually in different ways. People obviously go to meditation, which is more of an eyes closed technique, but the idea is to apply the principles of meditation into daily life. So what do you do in meditation? You close your eyes, you breathe often, in through the nose, out again, and you follow the direction of the breath. That's like the basic meditation technique. You can do this in real life. You had a past event that triggers an emotional charge. Start focusing on the breath again. Breathe in and out, in and out. Keep doing this to get in that current moment, and you realise then, when you've started focusing on the breath a few times, in that moment, that past event, that emotional charge is not there. It's just a memory, a screenshot that has an emotional charge. And you realise if you take away that emotional charge, that past event no longer has a hold over you, no longer has an impact over you. And you can, in fact, change your perception and the way you view that event so it doesn't happen again. Or if it does, you've got a new wisdom. You've seen it from a higher level and you're acting differently this time. Now, another thing about presence, we often think we need to be fully prepared because this is the mind talking. You might go to do a public speech. You might go to talk in a meeting, in an interview with a colleague, with a friend. We often try and prepare so much to the point where our mind consumes us. And the funny thing is, when we are in a state of presence, fully present in the moment, perhaps you're in the meeting or in an interview, you're looking at the person eye to eye, observing, not overthinking, you're just in that moment. Something magical happens. You can go in without any preparation, and because you're there in the moment, just life flows through you. A higher intelligence flows through you. You say the thing that you need to say at exactly the right time, without thinking, without so much planning. That's not to say never go and plan for a meeting, an interview, whatever. Have an idea of what the common theme is, what the agenda is, what the overall goal is or objective of that meeting or whatever it is you're going to do. But don't sit there overthinking constantly, trying to plan every meticulous detail, every single word that comes out, every single direction. Have the overall plan and then be present. Whatever needs to come up will come up, but you need to trust in life. We don't trust in life, which is why we try and plan. And not only that, we think that we know better than the universe, than life itself. We think that if something doesn't go the way we think it should go, it is wrong. And this is not the case. The universe knows better. You are just a pigment, a little snapshot, a screenshot, a little dot of the universe. So obviously, we're not going to know more of the direction of our life. The issue is our mind kicks in, our ego kicks in, and tries to dictate this and thinks it's stronger and more powerful than the universe, which it is not. So the key is the presence, getting in the moment fully, being with that other person in the meeting, on the dates, with that hangout, whatever it is. Letting what needs to come out in an authentic way. This is more difficult, easier said than done, obviously, getting present, because we're so used to being in the past or thinking about the future or letting our emotions control us. So the breath is key. It's the first initial step. And Eckhart Tolle, actually, this occurred to me right now because I was running out of things to say, but I took a moment to pause. And exactly in the moment where I'm thinking, should I just stop the video and come back to it, or the audio and come back to it in a second, once I've thought of something to say, then something popped into my head. Eckhart Tolle is a very good speaker, despite not being a traditional speaker like Tony Robbins, sort of loud person, overly full of energy, that sort of stuff. The one thing he does very well, which a lot of people struggle with, is being comfortable in the silence. He may go onto stage, or often does to be fair, and he's completely silent for a good couple of minutes, often somewhere between 2 minutes, sometimes 3 minutes, but he's just, when he first gets on stage, he's in complete silence. This, for most people, is awkward. They don't know what to do in that silence. But because Eckhart Tolle is completely silent and in the present moment, he's literally just picking up on what other people are feeling, maybe looking at. He's not thinking, I need to say something. He's just in the moment, observing. He's not thinking, that person's giving me a funny reaction now, this is dodgy, now, blah, 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 thought. He's literally looking. He may see person moving. Doesn't attach anything to it, any judgments, any emotion, any feeling. He just looks around, present, breathing. And this, it's hard to describe unless you've experienced it, but you have to trust me on this. Then after a minute or two of doing this, something will come up and he begins talking. And that's exactly what happened just to me now. That's a proven, almost a live example. Ran out of things to say, so I had a little pause. Obviously the mind started playing some tricks on me, saying, okay, you should pause, stop the video, you've run out of things to say now, stop it and you can edit it and come back, or pause it and come back, do whatever, or just completely stop it. And it's a bit more difficult to understand pauses on an audio clip, of course, because you can't see the facial reactions, if I'm going to continue talking or not. But I just had to pause. It felt like an eternity, to be honest. It was probably only 10, 15 seconds. I don't know the exact amount. But after taking that pause, I realised, one, it's not that important. It's not that deep. I can just pause and end it. Worst case scenario. It's not that big of a deal. But two, just as I'm thinking this, I sort of got a bit more present and something popped up. I realised, having watched Eckhart Tolle just literally about an hour ago, he did the exact same thing. And it's a good opportunity for me to talk about the silence, being present in the silence and not feeling awkward or judging it. So it goes back to what I said, not having to plan everything to the exact detail. Literally, this audio clip that I'm doing, I just had the one idea of talking about presence. That was it. I made no other plan. And in the past, I would have made planned, looked at a script, I'd have made bullet points, notes, everything, and maybe even rehearsed it. And the weird thing is, when I would do all of that stuff, I would still mess up what I was going to say. Yet conversely, the complete opposite of that, using this as an example, don't get me wrong, it's taken practice. You have to practice these things if you want to get into a flow state when speaking. But the complete opposite, using this as an example, this talk that I'm doing right now, as we speak, not a single bit of planning went into it. I had no idea what I was going to talk about besides the topic of presence, no idea what was going to come up, but it was getting out of the mind and just making a start, taking that action, not being worried about, if the wrong thing comes out or whatever, just getting out of the mind. So this is almost a meditation for me right now. Now I'm in this flow state. Words are just coming out. I'm not thinking. I feel like I'm gliding. I'm literally walking around the living room, gliding, not thinking at all. It feels like I'm not here. It just literally feels so natural and beautiful and wonderful. And I feel in such a good state to be able to talk like this without the mind playing the tricks on me. And don't get me wrong, every now and then, I don't know how long this talk is. Let me have a look. It's about just over 12 minutes at the moment. Every now and then I do notice the mind kick in a little bit. Try and say something or make me feel a certain way to, get out and stop this talk, because I'm like, oh, am I rambling? Am I saying the right thing? But after a little pause, I can get back into the state of mind that continues to keep me in the flow. So I could pay attention to those thoughts in the mind, and it will rattle me. It will get me out of that, the flow state. Or when it happens, I acknowledge it. I pause. I breathe. Even have a bit of silence if needs be. But then I let it pass. Let that uncomfortable feeling pass and continue. And as we speak right now I get the intuitive and inner knowing that it's time to end the talk. This is not the mind playing, it's just the inner feeling like, okay, I'm done now, without the mind playing tricks. So in conclusion, what I want to leave you with is be present with everything you're doing. Get out of your head, take deep breaths if you need to get in that present moment. Be in silence if you need to for a bit. You don't have to respond instantly. You can take 20, 30 seconds, minute, whatever, just to be in silence. But when you're in that silence, take some deep breaths if need be. Focus on the other person if you need to, what you notice. Get out of the head. Okay? And don't plan everything. Just let life flow through you. And what needs to come up will come up if you're in that present moment. You can practice things like meditation, but try and apply the practice of meditation into your daily life. So be present, be still, be there, be here now, as Ram Dass says. And just look at the change that happened. It's going to take a bit of practice. You're going to be uncomfortable if you're not used to this sort of stuff, but I assure you with continuous practice, it will be worth it. Hope this helped, guys. Love and light. Goodbye.